to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast, where I interview incredible fathers, gaining wisdom from their stories for you and I to grow in our own craft. I'm your guide, Ned Shout, father to 5 kiddos, currently ages 12 to 19, and husband to my rad wife, Sarah, working on our 21st year of marriage. So yes, I am in the thick of it, and I am working daily to rebel against the low expectations for fathers and create a world where fathers know who they are as they show up for their families. You and I have the greatest opportunity to impact our world through the way we embrace our fatherhood role. This episode is brought to you by the Adventure of Fatherhood, helping men discover their powerful fatherhood role and build their fatherhood skills. The role of the father is to serve, guide, steward, protect, and of course, find joy and have fun in the messiness of it all. Today's guest is my new friend, Larry Hagner. Incredible conversation around his longtime work in fatherhood. He is a husband, a father, a leader of men, author, and podcast host, Dad Edge podcast, and passionate to help men discover their identity and opportunity in fatherhood. Enjoy meeting Larry Hagner. All right, let's go. Larry Hagner, welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes. How you feeling today?
I feel good, man. I'm feeling good to be on this podcast. Dude, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man, it's cool because, I've been rocking the Fatherhood podcast since 2019. I'm at like 500 and something episodes. Feel pretty good about myself. And then now I'm sitting with a legend who has well over 1,400 podcast episodes. So one, dude, kudos, congratulations. Thanks for leading the way. So it's fun to get to talk to you. It's fun to get to talk to you about fatherhood, all that you're doing, and super excited about your new book that just launched.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I love talking about this topic. And dude, congratulations. My God, 500. You're like an OG now, right? Has anyone ever told you that? You're like an OG now?
No, not yet, but I'm going to Dear Diary right after this, Larry Hagner said.
You should. Well, I was told that on a couple of they're like, oh, you've been doing it for 10 years. You're an OG. I was like, is that the qualifications for an OG? But I guess it is. But 500 episodes, man, that's awesome. Good for you, dude.
Yeah, I love it. It's honestly my favorite thing, and especially with the technology now, it's like you and I could be in totally different places and connect on something that we're both deeply passionate about. So it's pretty incredible.
Well, I mean, not only that, we could probably have just AI do it for us, like just replicate our faces and voices and just do a podcast for us.
That's the saddest. I don't want to get there. I don't want to get there.
Me neither.
Okay, so I want to talk about your book here in a moment, but I got a couple questions. I just want, people who may not be familiar with you, I want them to get a picture of who I'm talking to here. So, how old do you find yourself today?
How old do you think I am?
How old do I think you are? I'm going to go with, oh, wait a second. Okay, I'm going to go with 39.
I love you, man. I don't even know you that well, but I love you. I just turned 50.
Did you really?
Yeah, July 6th, I turned 50. Yeah.
Holy crap. Look at how dark your beard is and how white mine is. Okay, so then here's the next question. How many sons and daughters do you have?
I have 4 boys.
Okay, see, that's the thing is I have 4 girls and 1 son.
That's why you got the gray.
I think that's where the gray comes in. I'm thinking so. Damn it. Okay, Larry, you got me there. I'm 42 and your beard's darker than mine. I guess that's a girl thing.
Dude, you got 4 girls, man. Like the boys might keep you a little young. The girls, I don't know. I don't have girls, so I don't know.
Bro. Well, dude, even this morning, one of my daughters walks down to get ready, to go to school. And like the win was that she didn't have lashes on today. Like, Dad, see? And I'm like, okay, you have a cheetah print shirt on. So yeah, that shit'll make you gray. Okay, so 50. Welcome to 50. Okay, before I ask my next question then, when you sit here at 50, what would be the words of wisdom that you would give to either early 40 Larry and Ned and the other guys? Like, what's the thing you'd say as we're stepping into this like decade before this 50 point?
It's this to change your perspective of fatherhood. And what I mean by that is you have 4 girls, 1 boy. I have 4 boys. And I don't know about you, but going back to when I was a dad for the very first time, and even married for the first time, if you really think about like this whole thing that we do as dads and this whole thing that we do as husbands, we're flying by the seat of our pants and we somehow, some way think that that's okay. And what I mean by that is anything that we do well in life, anything, like we learn it. So no matter what it is, if you have a 4-year degree in engineering, you had to go learn engineering, get a 4-year degree, right? If you want to go learn jujitsu, you got to go learn jujitsu at a studio or by an instructor or something. If you want to learn how to box or if you want to learn how to play guitar, you got to go learn it, right? And everyone knows that, right? It's like, I think this will really hit this point home. I'll tell the story in a second, but going back to the perspective, The perspective of when we're parents, we're like, okay, like, so you'll figure it out. Best time of your whole life. Don't worry, you'll figure it out. Marriage, you'll figure it out. Best time of your whole life. Oh, but if you want to be an engineer, you need to be certified, 4-year degree. I need to see like your resume that's 3D and everything else, right? So I actually just took on a one-on-one client and I told him about this perspective and I pretty much put it in his court. So he's been doing jujitsu for 3 years. He's a blue belt or purple belt. I can't remember what, but I said, have you done tournaments? He said, yeah, I love doing tournaments. I was like, did you do a tournament before you learned jujitsu? And he looked at me like I had two heads. He's like, no, why would I do that? I was like, yeah, well, why wouldn't you do that? So I put the question back on him. And he's like, I'd get killed. Like if I didn't know anything, like I have to learn some skills. I was like, what have you learned about fatherhood and marriage? Have you learned anything? And he's like, wow, I've learned a few. I was like, baptism by fire, right? It's not like you've rolled in a dojo on how to be a husband or father. He's like, I haven't. I was like, what is it? What does jujitsu feel like compared to fatherhood and being married? And then you saw it click. He's like, it's actually a lot harder. I was like, why is it harder? He's like, because I know when someone puts me in a hold, I can do this to get out of it. Or if I got this guy in this position, I can put him in this to get him in that. First tournament I did, I actually did pretty well. I was like, how long did you jujitsu before you did a tournament? He's like, I was in for a year. I was like, okay, so think about this for a moment. If you learned how to be a dad for a year before you even had a kid, what would that feel like? Then he was just like, oh my God, like I think I'd probably be ahead of the game. Yeah. So like it's the perspective. So like guys out there that have, and I was in this camp too, I still fall into this camp. I shouldn't need help. I shouldn't ask for help if I need it. I should be able to figure this out all on my own. That's really, really dangerous because basically you're going to a jujitsu tournament as a white belt and you're probably going to be rolling with higher belts or not even a belt at all. You just show up to a tournament, you're going to get your butt kicked. And it's the same thing with fatherhood, same thing with marriage. If we don't learn it and we don't change that perspective of like, I don't understand why I can't figure this out. Usually the gap is I haven't learned. I haven't learned the skills to figure it out. That's the perspective.
So good. So I track all my time in like a dashboard. So I kind of know where I'm investing my time and I can reflect on the quarter, the year, whatever. And before I turned 40, I wanted to get in the best shape of my life, right? So I did, got shredded, looked great. It was fun. I did that with Superhuman Fathers. I think I seen you might have been connected with Kyle at some level. Yeah, I love Kyle. Anyways, at the end of the year, I looked at how much time I spent in the gym compared to percentage wise compared to how much time I spent with my wife. And it was like, drastically different. You know what I mean? And so the next year I actually flipped it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a goal that 10% of my time is gonna be like intentional time with my wife. And I saw massive reward from that. Right. And I think if men kind of took what you're saying and this understanding of like, I wouldn't go to a jujitsu match with a white belt and walk away feeling like, why didn't I do well without practice? It's like if we could look at that with our kids and with our spouses, I mean, that's massive. I'd love to tie it for guys. It's like, I know today, if you have kids and a wife, you are like, and a mortgage and a grass that needs mowed, and like, let's just, there's a long list. It's hard to put your perspective at like 85-year-old Ned and Larry or yourself and look back like, what do I really want to say is true when I'm 85? Well, I'm probably going to have been retired for a bit, my engineer job. I'm probably not rolling jujitsu anymore. All these things we put so much time in, but do I want great relationship with my kids, my grandkids, maybe if I'm lucky, my great grandkids, and this wife of mine? It's like, okay, then let's carve out some intentional time to get better at this. Like this is a craft, it takes time, effort, energy.
100%, man. I mean, you nailed it. That is the biggest gap, right there. That's what I learned early on. Like within the first year of doing this work, like 13 years ago, I was like, as soon as I started like opening my mind up to be like, wait a second. So if I want to communicate better with my wife and I learn the skill of emotional validation, that's probably going to help our relationship, right? Or learn the skill of creating an environment of psychological safety where your kids will open up and tell you even the bad stuff, right? Those are all skills that we have to learn. It's kind of like rear naked choke in the armbar, right? When we learn those things, it makes navigating like our journey as dads, man, oh my God, it makes it night and day, in my opinion. Because when you have a map and you know what good looks like and you learn the way to get there, you're like, this is actually easier than I thought. Like everything that we do, everything that we teach, it's very simple, but it's not easy to implement because it's not our default. Our default is to do the opposite.
So, dudes, if you're nodding along going, yes, oh my gosh, this is what I want, this is who I am, then pause this right now, go to Amazon and go order The Pursuit of Legendary Fatherhood. I'm serious, right? Like we nod along, we listen to this while we're on a run. We're like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do it. No, just do it right now. And then I have a second ask, which Larry didn't ask me to say, but I know how much effort, energy, and work it takes to write a book, to put it out there, to hope it gets spread out there. Order two, give one away. And then as soon as that thing shows up on your doorstep, as you open it, log back into Amazon and write a review, right? Like that stuff matters. And frankly, my friend, I've never met Larry before, okay? But do it to honor him. When he says, I've been doing this 13 years, I've been investing in fathers 13 years, like he has 10 years of experience of working with dudes to make you and my life easier and better. Like that's blood, sweat, and tears in there. This isn't his 20th book and he's just trying to put out a shit ton of books just to do it. He's doing it because this is blood, sweat, and tears. It matters deeply. So honor him, order two books at least, and then write a review. Okay, let's keep going. Sorry. Do a little soapbox there. Geesh. Wow, this guy's intense. What's his problem? Okay, Larry, how many years you been married?
22 as of last month.
Yeah, baby. Let's go. Okay, so is that 2023? 2003, I mean.
2003. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sick. I got married in 2004. All right, 2003, four kids. What's the spread from youngest to oldest?
So 19 to 9. So there's a decade gap in between the bookends right there.
There you go. Okay, cool, man. And then where do you guys do life?
We live in St. Louis. If the country had a heartbeat, we'd probably be in the chest cavity.
Cool. Nice. And then, okay, so you just came out with a book, but what is it that you do? You got a podcast, speaking of fatherhood, but can give us a little bit like your 30-second speech on what is it you do to provide value out in the world and feed your family?
Obviously, write books. I coach. We have two different programs. We have what's called the Dad Edge Alliance. That's for our career guys. And basically, what that program is for, it helps men in several areas. So one is marriage. We help guys with their marriage. We help them communicate better with their wives. We help them create more intimacy. We help them create more connection with their wives, right? We really teach them how the mind of a woman works and the heart of a woman works and the keys to that, right? And we also teach men how to attract their wives back to them, right? Not chase and not pursue from needy, desperate energy, but actually just attract them back, which is a lot more fun than chasing, in my opinion. So that's marriage. But we help men connect better with their kids. So better core memories, more patience, how to communicate with them no matter what age they are. We teach men how to communicate with their kids and how to be just really entrenched in their lives. So that's fatherhood. We also teach them about health, right? But under health, there's physical, mental, and emotional health, right? And there's three pillars, and all you've got to tackle all three. If you tackle just one, you can have a guy with a great physique, but a horrible emotional IQ. You can have a guy who's got great emotional IQ, but just doesn't take care of himself mentally or physically. So health is another one, and then leadership. So we help men in those areas. We also have another program called the Dad Edge Business Owner Brotherhood. That's for our business owners. So it's not for our career guys, it's for the business owners. And what we do in there is we teach them, it's a similar program, except for we help them with their business as well. We help them to continue to grow and scale their business while not leaving their families in the dust. So a lot of these guys, uber successful in business, they're crushing it. And what they don't want to do is invest all their time and energy in their business and, all to come home with a wallet full of money and a house full of strangers. So we help them with that.
Love it. Love it. So a little tee up for you. If you're talking about fatherhood, why are we talking about marriage? Why'd you start with that? Why does that matter?
I think marriage is one of the most important aspects of fatherhood. I really do. I mean, and I'm not trying to single out guys who are in blended families or single dads. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is when you know how to really cultivate an incredible marriage, you really can learn how to cultivate an incredible connection with your kids. And your wife and your kids have the exact same three needs from you as a dad or a husband. So it makes it really easy. So the three needs of your wife and kids is to feel seen, heard, and safe. Seen, heard, and safe. You do that, you become the most interesting guy in the entire house. I'm not kidding. Like, because a guy who knows how to make his family feel seen, feel heard, and safe, that's a guy who knows how to build trust and he knows how to lead. That's the easy button for us guys because our wives have the same needs as our kids. Our needs as dads, as men, they're different. We need to feel appreciated. We need to feel respected and we need physical affection. So those are our three needs. And usually what we try to do is we try to fulfill our wives' needs with our own. So we like say things like we compliment them to appreciate them, right? We do things because we respect them. And then, of course, we want to put our hands all over them and we want to love them, right? But that's not necessarily what a woman needs. A way to a woman's heart and a way to intimacy with a woman is to make her feel seen, heard, and safe. So listen to her, hear her, point out the great things that you see her doing, see her. The biggest button in this whole thing for your wife and kids is that safety button. A lot of times when I say, hey, your kids need to feel safe with you, your wife needs to feel safe with you, the response that I normally get is, well, they know I'm not going to hurt them. Like, I'm not talking about physically. So think of safety as like this giant tree, like this giant oak tree. And the branches branch out and it's all safety. So, like, I'll give you an example. Your wife has to feel emotionally safe with you. So if she needs to come and have a hard conversation with you or tell you some bad news, even if it's not anything about the marriage, it's just bad news or it's just something bad, she needs to be like, okay, if I tell him this, what is he going to do? Is he going to freak out? Is he going to lose his mind? Is he going to be okay? Or is he going to handle it with calm? Is he going to be there? Is he going to create space? Right. That's when a woman feels, same thing with your kids. If your kids are terrified to tell you things, they don't feel emotionally safe with you. So emotional safety is one. Financial safety is another one. I know this sounds very, very blunt, but a woman is usually not attracted to a guy who's broke. And luckily, there's not a whole lot of broke guys out there, but a woman who can't spend an extra $20 to get her kids some shoes from TJ Maxx, she doesn't feel safe in that relationship. She's like, "Oh my god, I don't know if we're going to be able to pay our mortgage." That doesn't feel good to her. Another thing too is safety, how she sees you with the kids. If she sees this playful, compassionate, patient, loving father and not the guy who, when the milk spills off the kitchen, is going to lose his mind, that's another thing. Like, one of the sexiest things we can do is be a patient, playful, amazing father because, man, that just attracts them back. So the more you can fulfill those needs, dude, you got it.
Yeah, I love that, man. I think it's so important for our kids to see that as well, is that husband, father, man making his wife a priority. I think as far as if we want to think beyond the next year, right? If you think multi-generational family, the only way that that happens is if you're loving this lady for a long, long time. I was just at a retreat recently, like a marriage retreat, and several other people have been married for 50 plus years. And there's just something so incredible about that, you know? Like, I've been 21 years, you're at 22, you feel like, dude, that's a long time. And it is, right? It is. And my hope is that that doesn't become, 50 years doesn't become even more rare, in another 30 years. I want it to be something that we're leaning into. It's funny, my son and I did a devotion this morning. He's homeschooled, he's 16. And we were talking about that this morning, is just that leaning into that longevity, right? Of seeing beyond, today, tomorrow, this week, but what kind of man builds reputation and character. And I think one of the biggest opportunities we have is in our marriages, without a doubt, is it's difficult.
It is. And I want to expand just a little bit more on this because I don't think I've truly answered your question other than going past the three needs. But the marriage thing, this is a tough topic for a lot of guys to talk about because a lot of guys identify themselves as like, well, I'm a good dad. And there are absolutely great dads out there that don't have a great marriage. And I'm not taking away from that at all. What I am saying though is we've got this tremendous opportunity as a married couple, as a unit. I'm not talking about just the dads, but let's talk about the wives too. There's no mistake. If you look at the divorce rate, it's 50%, right? What a lot of people don't know, though, is some statistics about marriages that stay together. So I read a book not too terribly long ago, and actually, really good friends with these two authors, Lance and Brandy Salazar. They wrote The Miracle Morning for Couples with Hal Elrod years ago. And it's a great book. And they talk about one of the greatest things that we can do in a family is have the mom and the dad love each other. And I'll tell you why. So think about this. Most couples, what they do when we start having kids, we put marriage on the back burner and we put the kids on the front burner. So it's like, yeah, I'll get to the marriage when I have the time and the energy, but the kids need this, this, and this, right? And there's truth to that. At the same time, I challenge that. You can do both. You can put both of those frying pans on the front burner, right? And here's where I'll even tell you, and this is what I encourage my clients to put your wife a little bit closer to you on the front burner than your kids. Meaning, like, that marriage actually comes first, not your kids, but the marriage. A lot of people are like, that's crazy. No, it's not. Here's why. If you really ask kids, what does it feel like for you to know that your mom and dad really love each other, right? Really, really love each other. They'll tell you words like, it feels warm, it feels cozy. It feels good here. I want to be here. The kids feel safe when they see parents love each other. And back to the statistics of people that stay together. So there's 50% of couples that stay together. Let's talk about them. Lance and Brandy Salazar looked into research when they wrote that book, and what they found was is the 50% that stay together. It's not really great news. There are three camps. There are couples that are divided up into three camps in that 50%. So think of it like this, and they're all one third, like 30%, 30%, 30%, like all one third. One third of couples that stay together can actually identify their relationship is this is awesome. I love it. I really wouldn't change a whole lot. This is great. And there's several common denominators for that couple that has a happy marriage that I'll get to in a minute. The next camp is they've settled. They're roommates. They love each other. Yeah, they're friends. They co-parent. There's not a whole lot of intimacy. There's not a whole lot of date nights. There's not a whole lot of affection. A lot of their conversations are more managerial. Let's talk about the kids, the activities, the roles, the chores, like the stuff that we need to talk about. We still kind of care about each other, but we're not on fire. But like, I'm not really going to divorce you either. It's just sort of like, right? So that's the second camp. The third camp is complete and total physical and emotional disconnect. These are two individuals living in the same house, waiting for their kids to move out so they can break up. And the two reasons that those couples don't get divorced is we got to stay together for the kids, which in my opinion is not the greatest reason. And number two, it's way too financially devastating for us to get divorced. So we'll stick this out until the kids are 18 and then we'll be done. So the common denominators of that first camp, right? The couples that have an uncommon marriage, the couples that are really, really happy, those are the couples that say, no, we are not going to leave this to chance. You and I, we're going to learn skills to make this thing really, really work well. I want to know everything about you and how I can fulfill your needs. And I need to know like how can I fulfill yours, right? And understand that there's individuals at play. So there's me and there's my wife. I have my own individual self care that I need to do, and so does she. Then we have our partnership. That's all the chores and the managerial stuff and all that good stuff. We have to have that locked in. But we also have to be friends, right? We also have to cultivate a really good friendship and we have to be lovers. Those are the four things that we have to be in a marriage. And in order for a marriage to work, you have to have those four things. Last thing I'll say is this: where couples get messed up, and where couples enter in from that first camp into that second camp where they've settled and it's more managerial, they have focused so much on that partnership and all the things that have to be done, the chores, the roles, and everything. They just keep doing that over and over and over. They don't really cultivate a good friendship. They probably don't have great self care, and they certainly aren't being intimate. They're just stuck in that partnership loop.
Yeah, dudes, as you listen to Larry share this, I think sometimes we can get in that settled camp where we're like, I'm okay being a little bit miserable because I'm being a great dad. Right. But I would love for you to fast forward and think of your daughter or your son in that same situation in 10, 15, 20, 25 years. Like you're like, oh, no, I don't want that. Well, they're probably not going to have anything much better than the model that you're setting up. So it's like if you can fight for what you hope they would have and get past yourself, go create that so you could be in that top one third, you're going to be setting your kids up much more likely to have successful, healthy, fulfilled lives, right? And fatherhood's like, great, dude, you are a good dad for the 18 years your kid lived with you, but that's a pretty small part of their life. It's small. Our job isn't just to be the good, fun, at every sport thing dad. It is, am I setting my kid up for success to continue to pass this from generation to generation of this idea of family? Like at the end of the day, like that's really what this is all about, right? Is family, love, community. I mean, the things you shared are like, what does a woman and kids want? What does a man want? Those things are fulfilled in the home. Your hobby doesn't fully fulfill them. Your career doesn't fully fulfill them. So do the hard work. Do the hard work, get in that top third and set your kids up to be there as well. And let's grow that. Let's grow that from a third to more. And that only happens in the home, right? We can't vote for that. We can't move to a different place for that. Turn around, look inside your home, do the freaking work, and that's where it gets shifted. And it's fun, right? It's fun when you step into that. Okay, Larry, tell me about the book. Okay, I know there's four parts to it. When a dude gets this, what is the hope, right? What is the hope that is unlocked in him to really kind of see who he is and take some action around that?
I love that question, man. Just to expand upon that just a little further, you nailed it. and you can tell you've been doing this work for as long as you have. When you ask the question of like, well, what is it? Why does marriage have anything to do with being a good father? What you just said was, so I have four boys, you have four girls and a son. So here's my responsibility. This is how I view it. And my wife views it the same way. And I guarantee you guys probably do too. Being married, right? But also being a dad, I feel the responsibility of like, I need to show my boys this is how you love a woman. This is how you treat a woman. This is how you talk to a woman. This is how you love and honor and all these different, this is how you make your wife feel seen, heard, and safe. That's my responsibility, right? So they need to learn that. My wife feels the responsibility of like what good looks like to treat a man. Because when all these teenage girls come around and they want to be in their drama and their all this other stuff and they want to treat you a certain way, my wife is like, oh no, I set the standard. How I treat your dad is how you should be treated. So like I agree. I mean, it's a big responsibility, but we can set our kids up for a better relationship in their future, whether it's friendships, intimate relationships, their wives, their husbands, or whatever, just by watching us. So that's just to nail that. I love you said that. But yeah, the book is divided up into four parts. I'm holding it up for your YouTube, and it's the drift is the first part. People have been really intrigued to hear about that one. Husband is the second part. Father is the third, and then leader is the fourth. So when I first started doing this work, I mean, I selfishly I started doing this work for me. Like I actually, to be honest, Dad Edge was never meant to be anything more than a therapeutic hobby for me. Like it was never meant to be my full time thing. Like I just really, really enjoyed podcasting and learning, and that's about it. But the drift is something when I started podcasting, I noticed this a lot in my clients. I noticed this a lot, just friends, family, like any guy I talked to, I was like, man, there's something here with this drift thing, but I didn't understand it until I heard the term. I interviewed Gary John Bishop on my podcast 6 times because every time he launches a new book, I just have him on the show. And he talks about this. He used to put on his Instagram, interrupt the drift. And I'm like, what is that? And I had him on the show once and I was like, Gary, what is the drift? It's better if I explain it in more our terms now. So here's the drift. When I first started doing this work, like I said, it was for me. But then when it started to blow up, I hired a business coach to help me like, what do I do with this now? Like it's getting really big. Do I do something else? And he's like, you need to have an avatar. And I was like, why do I have an avatar? Like I'm the avatar. He's like, no, no, you have to have someone that you have to like think about their life, who they are, their entire world, everything, and what it is they go through, their thoughts, everything. And I'm like, okay, why do I want to do that? He goes, because when you're podcasting and you're writing to this man, like you're writing to. So I came up with a guy named Lance. Lance is 38 years old. He's got 3 kids, 10, 8, and 6. He's been married to Kate for 12 years, dated her for a few years before they were madly in love, met in college, all this other stuff, got married, and then they started having kids. This is Lance's world. This is Lance's world now, and this is the drift. Lance wakes up every single day and drives to a job that he doesn't necessarily love. And side note, 82% of men who work don't really like what they do. And to some degree, only 18% of men love what they do. So he drives to a job that he doesn't really like. It's not really fulfilling. His wife stays home. They can make ends meet, but it's a little tough here and there raising 3 kids. But he's like, I feel trapped in this job. I don't really like it. I'm not really fulfilled, but I can't really do anything else. So I guess I'll just keep doing it. And he just sort of loathes going to work. And then he comes home after doing that for 8 or 10 hours a day to Kate, and his life is pretty much in camp too. They're like roommates, right? They're the typical mom and dad that they talk about all logistics. They don't really go out. They don't really have time to do dates or anything like that. They don't really have deep conversations. Lance loses his patience a lot with the kids, beats himself up over that. He's really, really frustrated. He's not having sex with Kate that much anymore. They're like, have this surface level conversation. And here's the killer. Here's the killer. That's like the normal everyday life of a lot of guys out there. But the killer is this. This is what actually pisses me off now doing this work. Every guy that speaks into Lance's life tells him that this is normal. This is what life is. This is marriage. This is parenting. And this is what you do for a living. Shut up and just do it. Just get through it, man. Yeah, this is what you signed up for. And Lance is like, well, okay, I guess I'll just grind my way through this. And he wakes up every day and every day feels like freaking Groundhog Day. But he so desperately, man, he so desperately wants to do the work that makes him come alive. He so desperately wants to have this relationship with Kate that's on fire. He wants to be this dad that wants to connect with his kids. And he's doing it about 50, 60%. But there's like this 40% that's laying out there. He's just like, I know there's more. But I don't know what it is. And everyone's telling me that there is no more. And that is the drift. And that's the lie that men buy into, because the lie is this: that 30 or 40% that you're leaving on the table, that is your fulfilling life right there. And if you access that, that makes all the difference. And I'll finish with this: the way to access that is exactly what you're talking about. Go learn. As soon as you start learning, as soon as you start implementing, life gets suddenly easier. And now you can inch your way from that camp 3 or 2 into back into that camp 1.
What a honorable, beautiful, confident story, right? So dudes listening, you're like, shit, I feel like Lance, you truly have the opportunity to step into who you actually are. And then your wife's going to be attracted to you, like Larry said. Your kids are going to respect you, want to be like you. I mean, just those two things right there, I know because I'm a man that those things light my soul up. If my wife's attracted to me and my kids respect me, want to banter, want to like be like me. Like, dude, what else is there? There's no job, there's no hobby that's going to stroke you the same way. And so yeah, I mean, I think at that point, you start to do that. Then it's like, it almost doesn't matter what I do, right? It's like, I didn't have to shift my job to go become part of the 18%. It's like, I see my job as a tool to go be the guy that I really want to be. Now, you might need to shift your job, but most times I don't think that you probably have to. Okay, Larry, I know we have about 10 minutes left. And so I'm just going to jump into a couple of just rando things. So this is like really unique. And I try to bring it up more often when I'm talking to intentional men like yourself. But this idea of like, you are raising sons and I'm raising daughters. I have a son, right? But let's just lean in on my daughters. There's been this unique shift where we're talking about like college. Like my daughter and my wife are leaving today for a college tour in Oregon. We live in Hawaii. In Oregon, she runs track, whatever.
You live in Hawaii?
Yeah, I know.
I'm so jealous.
Just with perfect weather, I guess.
Perfect weather, breathtaking beaches, but just like everywhere else.
I would just love to get your perspective on, okay, let me have, how do I say this? Like on one hand, I own a business. I'm very driven. My kids read investment books with me over the years, these types of things. But at the same time, I don't want to raise my daughters to have to rely on themselves to feed themselves. Like there's been this interesting shift the last couple years as we've been talking about this. Just to the other day, my daughter is like, "Dad, I don't even know if I want to go to college. Like I want to be a mom. I want to have 7 kids." But she's wrestling with this like, "But I don't want to have to rely on a man." But hang on. Okay, now this is where it gets like, can we even talk about this? Is like, but in a sense, you should feel the safety and the freedom to want that, right? To be able to want to feel secure that I don't have to be the hunter and the mother. And we live in a weird world right now where we're kind of telling women, oh, you're a mom, and what do you do? And what's your side hustle? And what's your career? And so I just want to kind of bring that up from, you work with dads, you're raising sons. When I think about the type of son I want to marry my daughter, I have this picture of myself, obviously. When you think about the daughters that you're hoping that the Neds of the world are raising, what does that look like to you? What is that you're kind of encouraging your sons to be looking for? And I think that helps me unlock, okay, how much do I need to tell my daughter, like, be an attorney, be a doctor, fend for yourself, right? I'm like moving away from that to like, obviously, like, I don't want to say, hey, don't go to high school, drop out, learn to cook and clean, right? There's like some sort of level in there. So, with just those things, I think this is a hard conversation. I just want to start bringing it up more. What are a couple things that come to mind for you around that?
Oh man, I have never been asked a question like this, and I find it fascinating. And I'm sitting as you're asking me this question, like I'm feeling like anxiety, like rev up in me. Cause I'm like, oh my gosh, like how do I answer this? So I don't want to give you like a BS answer. So while you were talking, I was thinking through this, and I'm like, man, that's a great question. So maybe it just might help. But you're a faith based guy, and so am I. So like one of the things that we always tell our kids is like, hey, like the first filter is she a Christian? I mean, like, and here's the thing. My boys also value that, which is good. Like, it's not anything we force feed them, but like, it's also important to them. I'm like, hey, like, you should have a similar faith, right? So that's the one. I think that, like, right now, one of my sons is dating a girl who is of quite a different faith. It's like really different. And it's already, I mean, they're teenagers. It's creating friction in their relationship. So That one I think is a big one. Another one, I would more lean on my wife for this one because like I said, my wife really holds the responsibility, and she'll even say this. She's like, I basically hold the standard of how I treat you is how I want them to expect to be treated from a woman, right? So for my wife, here's a big thing. My wife is like, don't ever allow a woman to emasculate you or disrespect you. I think that there's a lot of women out there that talk, and married women that and clients of mine, like these guys tell me like how they speak to them. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, and sometimes it's like, it's something like minor, but it's not. So, like, again, going back to a man needs to feel appreciated, he needs to feel respected. If he feels unappreciated and he feels disrespected, especially publicly, oh my God, you might as well just kick the guy in the nuts. So, my wife is always like, hey, how a woman treats you and speaks to you says a lot about her and a lot about the relationship. She should be speaking to you calmly, never yelling at you, never calling you a name, never emasculating you, never saying things like, God bless. Is it too much to ask that I ask you to do this and you just do it? Like if a woman talks to you like that, walk the other way. That's disrespect. Or you stand your ground and say, I would really appreciate if you did not speak to me like that and not take it. Right. So things like that, that I think, but also there's the reciprocity thing. Like we teach our boys, like, hey, we're really, really big. Like when my son went to go meet his girlfriend's dad, I didn't tell him what to do. I asked him, I was like, what are you planning on doing? Like when you meet this guy? And he was great about it, which was good. But I was prepared to clean up. He's like, I'm going to go in. I'm going to dress nice. My car is going to be clean. I'm going to look at him in the eye, say, nice to meet you, sir. I'm going to shake his hand firmly. What time would you like her home? I'll make sure that she's home on time. I'm going to open her door for her, like things like that. Like, so I think this obviously goes both ways. Guys like me need to be raising good men for daughters like you're raising, right? But guys like you need to be raising good daughters for young men like mine, right? So I think those two things go really hand in hand. But to answer your question, I think it really boils down to respect and appreciation, never emasculating or disrespecting, especially publicly, especially during conflict resolution. Arguments can always be de escalated just by us approaching them calmly and not, with a whole lot of defensiveness or even disrespect.
Yeah, love it, dude. It's clearly, it's like one of those things that you and I could unpack for a while, but I think just having the conversation a bit more is helpful because it also positions this idea of like good dad is not just like how am I showing up with my kid today, but what are the conversations I'm having with them, preparing them for tomorrow, for helping them think through the roadmap. And I honestly wish I would have started these conversations a bit sooner with my kids about like really, don't you want mom and dad to speak into your relationships? But again, dads, if you want that to be true, I mean, we got to earn the right, right? Like our kids got to look at my marriage and your marriage and go like, I want that. Right. So if we're not doing that first and foremost, we're not going to be setting them up for good success. Okay, my friend, I am a firm believer that men speak life into other men, right? I mean, even like we speak life into our wives, we speak life into our kids. We have a huge opportunity to bless people with our words. And bless people really just means speaking life in abundance. So, in our last minute here, what is a blessing you would say speak into the dude who's got his earbuds in right now? What would you say to him to speak life into him right now?
So I'm gonna steal one. Is that okay? It's not mine, but it's so good. I've said this many times, and that's because when I had Meg Meeker on the podcast once, I'm sorry, twice, and then she was a speaker at one of our events back in 2022. And she said this quote every time. And I was just like, and I talked to her personally. I was like, this is so good. You already have what it takes to be a good dad already inside of you. You just need to find the right environment and the right people to bring it out. And she's like, and too many dads surround themselves with low quality friendships, low quality relationships that don't cultivate that. Like we have these rusty sort of acquaintance level relationships. If more guys, Ned, got in conversation like you and I just did, even though we're podcasting, just think of what would happen to the, this is what Meg said. If more guys got into conversations like what you and I did, the world would change tomorrow.
Yep.
It would. So you already have it in you. You already have what it takes to be an amazing father. You already have it in you to be an amazing husband. You wouldn't be listening to Ned's podcast otherwise, right? That's why you're here. It's just a matter of like, how do I go learn the jujitsu moves to go implement it? That's the gap right there. And in my opinion, the way to do it, get into community with other guys who want the same thing you do.
Yes. Yes. Love it. Larry, Thank you so much for all your work, for decades of work, for leaning into your fatherhood role, your role as a husband, your role as a man. Thank you for taking time to be on the podcast. Thank you for all the hours over this new book. And I'm looking forward to digging into it and sharing it with the world. Much love and blessing to you and your family. I look forward to our paths crossing again in the future.
Me too. And do you mind if I do something unexpected for you since you did for me?
Do it, bro.
So I just want to tell all your listeners, I mean, you've been podcasting now for 6 years, 500 episodes. I think a lot of people out there probably think like you just buy a microphone and you just publish things, but podcasting is, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work before you meet your guest, afterwards, the production of it, the whole 9 yards. Like, if you guys have been listening to Ned's show for any amount of time, stop right now, go to iTunes, go to Spotify, leave him a 5-star review. Because if you've been listening to this show and he's provided you any type of value, which I'm sure he's provided a ton, go leave this man a 5-star review and let him know how he's helped you.
I appreciate that very, very much. All right, Larry, blessings. Talk to you soon.
Blessings to you, brother.
Love my time with Larry. Please order his book. Order 2 copies. I just did it on Amazon so that I can give one away and write a review. Also encourage you, go check out his website. If you order his book from his website, he has some free giveaways, some courses online that may be very helpful to you in the season of learning to be a father so that you can be a legendary father. Or go on Amazon, The Pursuit of Legendary Fatherhood. Much love to you, my friends. Please write a review, help spread the word that fatherhood matters. Thank you to all you dads out there listening to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast. What you do matters. Don't be like everybody else. Be yourself. That's who your kids, spouse, and community needs. This is your guide, Ned Shout. Together, let's rebel against the view that fatherhood has little impact, and let's create lives engaged in mastering the craft of fatherhood. I look forward to hanging out with you next time.